Hey everybody, today we're diving into Dear Esther, the Landmark Edition. This is a narrative-driven experience with no combat, no puzzles, just hunting beauty story told through exploration. I'm playing this through the entire game in one sitting, so sit back, relax, and let's take this journey together. I have done this before, but I want to check out the Landmark Edition.
Dear Esther, the morning after I was washed ashore, salt in my ears, sand in my mouth, and the waves always at my ankles, I felt as though everything had conspired to this one last shipwreck. I remembered nothing but water, stones in my belly and my shoes, threatening to drag me under to where only the most listless of creatures swim.
So yeah, this is about a 2-hour game that is mainly just kind of a game about a car crash. I think you see a lot of symbolism, especially with these this chemical. I think what this is, like carbon, some chlorine or something. It gets explained a little bit earlier, but I love this game, and this will be my third playthrough I've done, and it's so interesting because they've done another game called Everybody Goes to Rapture, which is I played on the PlayStation 4. It's like, wow, this is kind of cool. The Landmark Edition is rebuilt in Unity with some extra stuff. I thought about doing maybe the commentary version, but I think I might just do that on my own time. But this is just a straightforward game. I'm literally pressing W on my keyboard and probably never stop until, I don't know, I run into a bug. This is take 2. Take 1 is like I literally got into a game-breaking bug. I fell through the world. I couldn't get out. But yeah, this game came out in like 2012 originally. The port really didn't like increase the resolution, but it is... You don't need, 4K textures to look pretty. It's about building an atmosphere. Building what you want from, your story. Because I got this at 4K, and it's pretty good looking.
When you were born, your mother told me, a hush fell over the delivery room. A great red birthmark covered the left side of your face. No one knew what to say, so you cried to fill the vacuum. I always admired you for that you cried to fill whatever vacuum you found. I began to manufacture vacuums just to enable you to deploy your talent. The birthmark faded by the time you were 6 and had gone completely by the time we met, but your fascination with the empty and its cure remained.
Something like also... what is that game called? Stanley Parable. I am okay with that. These games are not like $60, $70, $80. These are like $20 games. Some are $10, and you can get them easily on discount, pretty cheap too.
The mount is clearly the focal point of this landscape. It almost appears so well placed as to be artificial. I find myself easily slipping into the delusional state of ascribing purpose, deliberate motive to everything here. Was this island formed during the moment of impact? When we were torn loose from our moorings and the seatbelts cut motorway lanes into our chests and shoulders, did it first break surface then?
It's all about, like, The Forest was a huge success, and that was made by art people. Like, people that were, did this out of a whim.
When someone had died or was dying, or was so ill they gave up what little hope they could sacrifice, they cut parallel lines into the cliff, exposing the white chalk beneath. You could see them from the mainland or the fishing boats, and know to send aid or impose a cordon of protection, and wait a generation until whatever pestilence stalked the cliff paths died along with its hosts. My lines are just for this, to keep any would-be rescuers at bay. The infection is not simply of the flesh.
But you zoom in, you see these are not high quality textures, but this is it's a dark game. You don't need to look at every there's trash here and all that. So it's It's interesting.
They were God-fearing people, those shepherds. There was no love in the relationship. Donnelly tells me that they had one Bible that was passed around in strict rotation. It was stolen by a visiting monk in 1776, 2 years before the island was abandoned altogether. In the interim, I wonder, did they assign chapter and verse to the stones and grasses, marking the geography with a superimposed significance that they could actually walk the Bible and inhabit its contradictions?
Also, this game plays tricks on you. It's not really a scary game, but there are a couple scenarios where, like, hey, I think at the very end, there's a little, like, ghostly figure.
Dear Esther, I met Paul. I made my own little pilgrimage. My Damascus, a small semi-detached on the outskirts of Wolverhampton. We drank coffee in his kitchen and tried to connect to one another. Although he knew I hadn't come in search of an apology, reason, or retribution, he still spiraled in panic, thrown high and lucid by his own dented bonnet. Responsibility had made him old. Like us, he'd already passed beyond any conceivable boundary of life.
I think there's like a rule
I
about
threw my arms wide and the cliff
decommissioned
opened out
lighthouses.
before me, making this rough home. I transferred my belongings from the bothy on the mount and tried to live here instead. It was cold at night, and the sea lapped at the entrance at high tide. To climb the peak, I must first venture even deeper into the veins of the island, where the signals are blocked altogether. Only then will I understand them, when I stand on the summit and they flow into me, uncorrupted.
Their next game after this, the Chinese room is the developer. They made Everybody's Gone the Rapture. Supposedly, like, a lot of people were upset about that game because you couldn't sprint. And I did find it funny that they kind of pushed a patch like a couple weeks after, where it's like, yeah, you can sprint now. That was also an interesting game too. Another game that came around this time was Proteus, which is like kind of a weird looking Atari looking game that was like really weird. I need to replay that game. Like it's like 20-minute games, and it's just a visually and sounding stuff. As long as you have good visuals and, you know, good music, I think you can go a long ways. And when I say visuals, I'm not like talking about, like, you know, high resolution. It's more about like how do you adapt.
I dreamt I stood in the center of the sun, and the solar radiation cooked my heart from the inside. My teeth will curl and my fingernails fall off into my pockets like loose change. If I could stomach, I'd eat, but all I seem capable of is salt water. Were the livestock still here, I could turn feral and gorge. I'm as emaciated as a body on a slab, opened up for a premature source of death. I've rowed to this island in a heart without a bottom, all the bacteria of my gut rising up to sing to me.
Because I'm playing Monster Hunter, which is probably, you know, a hugely technically advanced game visually. But it's like then I'm playing this and feel like both of these are gorgeous looking games. One separated by 10 years younger. Oh, there's a sprint. Is this? I don't think so. I wonder if this is one take. One of the big problems I have with Half-Life is that a lot of people praise it, but it has insanely bad load times. Not like they take forever to load. Never mind. Yeah, there it is.
Dear Esther, I have now driven the stretch of the M5 between Exeter and Bristol over 21 times. But although I have all the reports and all the witnesses, and have cross-referenced them within a millimeter using my ordnance survey maps, I simply cannot find the location. You'd think there would be marks to serve as some evidence. It's somewhere between the turnoff for Sanford and the welcome break services, but although I can always see it in my rearview mirror, I have as yet been unable to pull ashore.
Like, look at this grass, dude. This grass is so good looking. And, like, good, like, range of visibility, too. Is that like a beacon or something? Yeah, one thing I did not like about Half-Life and Half-Life 2.
An imagined answer phone message. The tires are flat, the wheel spins loosely, and the brake fluid has run like ink over this map, staining the landmarks and rendering the coastline mute, compromised. Where you saw galaxies, I saw only bruises cut into the cliff by my lack of sobriety.
Was it the constant loads? I think it would really tick me off is like in that intro sequence, it like loads a couple times. It's weird. There's not even a jump button either. You know what? I wonder if this would be a good VR game. I'm always fascinated. I think VR is cool. There's a lot of cool things I've seen in VR, but I feel like these walking simulators.
I had kidney stones, and you visited
cool.
me in the hospital. After the operation, when I was still half submerged in anesthetic, your outline and your speech both blurred. Now my stones have grown into an island and made their escape, and you have been rendered opaque by the car of a drunk.
It is kind of cool to have the sound of the wind and you see the leaves blow kind of with it.
I've begun my ascent on the green slope of the western side. I've looked deep into the mountain from the shaft and understood that I must go up and then find the way under. I will stash the last vestiges of my civilization in the stone walls and work deeper from there. I'm drawn by the aerial and the cliff edge. There is some form of rebirth waiting for me there.
You know what? I'm actually gonna turn off the crosshair. Nope. Here we go. This game is just so gorgeous looking. Boop. And then the tower back there does have some significance. Because kind of this game is kind of on rails.
The bothy was
Because I can't jump, I can't get off this thing. So it would be nice to have like as a simple.
Had formalized into a career. The first habitual shepherd was a man called Jakobsen, from a lineage of migratory Scandinavians. He was not considered a man of breeding by the mainlanders. He came here every summer whilst building the bothy, hoping eventually that becoming a man of property would secure him a wife and a lineage. Donnelly records that it did not work. He caught some disease from his malcontented goats and died 2 years after completing it. There was no one to carve white lines into the cliff for him either.
Because for me, I don't like when I'm in control of the movement. It just doesn't feel right. It just like I get motion sick, but if I can...
My heart is landfill. These false dawns waking into the still never light. I sweat for you in the small hours and wrap my blankets into a mass. I have always heard the waves break on these lost shores, always the gulls forgotten. I can lift this bottle to my ear, and all there ever is for me is this Hebridean music.
There's also a thing is that you will always see these little black figures in the background. But yeah, teleportation is what I like for VR, and a lot of games don't have that. I really wanted to get into Fallout 4 VR. I had a good time in that like opening sequence, but then when I get into the open world, I'm like, this is gonna take too long. I don't want to be here.
Jacobson's ribcage, they told Donnelly, was deformed, the result of some birth defect or perhaps a traumatic injury as a child. Brittle and overblown it was, and desperately light. Perhaps it was this that finally did for him, unable to contain the shattering of his heart. In half-light, his skeleton a discarded prop, a false and calcified seabird. They found Jacobson in early spring. The thaw had only just come. Even though he'd been dead nearly 7 months, his body had been frozen right down to the nerves and had not even begun to decompose. He'd struggled halfway down the cliff path, perhaps looking for some lost goat, or perhaps in a delirium, and expired, curled into a claw right under the winter moon. Even the animals shunned his corpse. The mainlanders thought to bring it home unlucky. Donnelly claims they dragged it to the caves to thaw out and rot, but he is proving an unreliable witness.
I still haven't not let go of W. Like, realistically, I haven't. I have a quest 2, and I don't...
Climbing down to the caves, I slipped and fell and injured my leg. I think the femur is broken. It is clearly infected. The skin has turned a bright, tight pink, and the pain is crashing in on waves, winter tides against my shoreline, drowning out the ache of my stones. I struggled back to the bothy to rest, but it has become clear that there is only one way this is likely to end. The medical supplies I looted from the trawler have suddenly found their purpose. They will keep me lucid for my final ascent.
I wonder if the last time I played this was during the YouTube has 15-minute breaks.
Donnelly did not pass through the caves. From here on in, his guidance, unreliable as it is gone from me. I understand now that it is between the two of us, and whatever correspondence can be drawn from the wet rocks.
What I liked about my Quest VR, Meta Quest 2 is when I like downloaded Steam Link and that changed everything. That means I can stream games from my PC to my VR headset. There's some games that like broke my brain. Flight Simulator was another one. No Man's Sky was actually kind of good, but I didn't like the controls when flying around. This is like peak lighting.
It was as if someone had taken the car and shaken it like a cocktail. The glove compartment had been opened and emptied with the ashtrays and the boot. It made for a crumpled museum, a shattered exhibition.
And also some stuff like this, you don't really need ray tracing either, because you can just all bake it and pre-render it, all the lighting models. You don't have to have like ray tracing. I don't like ray tracing because of the performance loss. And just have this as a wallpaper engine would be pretty cool. Like, I think ray trace shadows are a little bit too much in my opinion. Give me that global illumination. Good water. Water's still hard. Well, these caves remind me of the caves from Fallout 3 in Skyrim. That Oblivion, like a couple months, like last month, people were like, "Yo, Oblivion remake is coming out in April." It's April 8th right now. This cave system is weird. This game is popping really heavily on my OLED monitor.
I'm traversing my own death throes. The infection in my leg is an oil rig that dredges black muck up from deep inside my bones.
You've entered
Skyreach.
Skyreach.
And paracetamol to stay conscious. The pain flows through me like an underground sea.
We're in Blackreach. Skyrim is so crazy. But games like these are perfectly fine, I think. Total Biscuit like railed on it because this is not a game. It's like, yeah, I think that's okay. As the, you know, I'm 40 years old. I don't have time to learn the metas of games. Like Helldivers was really cool, but it just like a lot of the weapons just didn't feel right. So you gotta maintain the meta. I've completely jumped off of competitive games because you gotta learn the meta, and it's just like that's not fun. That's why Monster Hunter is so good, because it doesn't really have a meta. Like people will say, "Oh, you need to use this and this and this." It's like, no, you don't. You just need to know how to play the game.
This cannot be the shaft they threw the goats into. It cannot be the landfill where the parts of your life that would not burn ended up. It cannot be the chimney that delivered you to the skies. It cannot be the place where you rained back down again to fertilize the soil and make small flowers in the rocks.
Oh, wow. You can die in this. You, like really early on, you can walk through the fire. I mean, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I have no idea what's going on in this game, but it's always fascinating to play this. Kind of want like I debated about recording this in 4K and just blasting through this, and then just not even doing commentary. I truly believe this is a gorgeous looking game. You just have this repeat, put this on a TV and just have it repeat. God, look at this. This is so fucking cool. Just like, just loop this for a few seconds and all that. And you just have it on wallpaper engine. Like, games don't have to be pixel pushers. It really don't. This game doesn't even have HDR too.
The moon over the Sanford Junction, headlights in your retinas. Donnelly drove a grey hatchback without a bottom. All the creatures of the tarmac rose to sing to him. All manner of symbols crudely scrawled across the cliff face of my unrest. My life reduced to an electrical diagram. All my gulls have taken flight. They will no longer roost on these outcrops. The lure of the moon over the Sanford Junction is too strong.
Oh, there's a shadowy figure. No.
I returned home with a pocket full of stolen ash. Half of it fell out of my coat and vanished into the car's upholstery. But the rest I carefully stowed away in a box I kept in a drawer by the side of my bed. It was never intended as a meaningful act, but over the years it became a kind of talisman. I'd sit still, quite still for hours, just holding the diminishing powder in my palm and noting its smoothness. In time, we will all be worn down into granules, washed into the sea and dispersed.
I wonder if I should get into Journey. A lot of those, like, Q games, I think it was Q, were really good. Journey, Flow was really good. I really like Flow. No, not Flow. Flower. That's what it was. Whoa. That's creepy. That's cool. I've never seen that before. No flames don't cast shadows. Isn't that
There
wild?
were chemical diagrams on the mug he gave me coffee in, sticky at the handle where his hands shook. He worked for a pharmaceutical company with an office based on the outskirts of Wolverhampton. He'd been travelling back from a sales conference in Exeter, forming a strategic vision for the peddling of antacid yogurt to the European market. You could trace the connections with your finger, join the dots, and whole new compounds would be summoned into activity.
I still sometimes
From here, I
listen
could
to
see
the
my armada. I collected all the letters I'd ever meant to send to you, if I'd have ever made it to the mainland, but had instead collected at the bottom of my rucksack, and I spread them out along the lost beach. Then I took each and every one, and I folded them into boats. I folded you into the creases, and then, as the sun was setting, I set the fleet to sail. Shattered into 21 pieces, I consigned you to the Atlantic, and I sat here until I'd watched all of you sink.
I think it's also implying that maybe this might be purgatory. So I think like recently the Pope has said purgatory is not really a thing. Or maybe it might have been kids. Like a lot of people like it. We're gonna get political here real second. A lot of people believe unborn children or children not baptized will go to purgatory. They don't go to heaven or hell. Though the Pope has said, hey, they all go to heaven because they're innocent. Not until you turn 18, then your innocence removed. When the sun rotates 18 times, right there. 1 second before, after you die, after you turn 18, somebody kills you. I don't know, man. You might be going to hell. It's a beautiful game, and it might not be.
I will drag my leg behind me. I will drag it like a crumpled hatchback, tires blown and sparking across the dimming lights of my vision. I'm running out of painkillers, and am following the flicker of the moon home. When Paul keeled over dead on the road to Damascus, they restarted his heart with the jump leads from a crumpled hatchback. It took 21 attempts to convince it to wake up.
I can't go up there. Ah, god dang it. Ooh, 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 ow, 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 ow.
I've begun my voyage in a paper boat without a bottom. I will fly to the moon in it. I've been folded along a crease in time, a weakness in the sheet of life. Now you've settled on the opposite side of the paper to me. I can see your traces in the ink that soaks through the fiber, the pulped vegetation. When we become waterlogged and the cage disintegrates, we will intermingle. When this paper aeroplane leaves the cliff edge and carves parallel vapor trails in the dark, we will come together.
Everybody Goes to Rapture was a little bit more open-ended. You had to collect things. That was a little bit harder to, instead of just like literally pressing W. That was like a PSN kind of game too. Like it was like published by Sony at the time. And I thought it was kind of cool. I think I recorded that. I think so. Channel is so old.
If only Donnelly had experienced this, he would have realized he was his own shoreline, as am I. Just as I am becoming this island, so he became his syphilis. retreating into the burning synapses, the stones, the infection.
Oh, there's the dark. Is that the dark figure? No. One thing I wonder if it's like a random thing or not, how you interact or what happens next. I actually thought this game would be like 2 hours long. Yeah, I should have done this in 4K.
Bent back like a nail, like a hangnail, like a drowning man clung onto the wheel, drunk and spiraled, washed onto the lost shore under a moon as fractured as a shattered wing. We cleave, we are flight and suspended, these wretched painkillers, this form inconstant. I will take flight, I will take flight.
I'm kind of not exploring a lot too. There is some areas that you can't, like there's a section of the cave. The sad thing is that there isn't much to see. You're not getting any environmental storytelling or anything. It is just, atmospheric storytelling. But I still sometimes listen to the soundtrack to Everybody Gone Director. I think. I don't know. I think I sometimes listen to it. Listen to it as like maybe the past 10 years.
Blind with panic, deaf with the roar of the caged traffic, heart stopped on the road to Damascus. Paul sat at the roadside, hunched up like a gull, like a bloody gull, as useless and as doomed as a syphilitic cartographer, a dying goat herd, an infected leg, a kidney stone, blocking the traffic bound for Sanford and Exeter. He was not drunk, Esther. He was not drunk at all. All his roads and his tunnels and his paths led inevitably to this moment of impact. This is not a recorded natural condition. He should not be sat there with his chemicals and his circuit diagrams. He should not be sat there at all.
That's right, the formula is for alcohol. And he was drunk when he died. This is weird. It's like on top of the rock face. I wish more developers were not afraid to make art games. I wish they weren't. I think this is a gorgeous looking game. They don't have to be like, they don't have to use Unreal Engine 5. This is literally Unity. Though you don't have to use Unity, but it's pretty. Wait, there's something. I think there might be something.
I am the Ariel. In my passing, I will send news to each and every star.
Nope.
Dear
Not in control.
Esther, I have burnt my belongings, my books, this death certificate. Mine will be written all across this island. Who was Jakobsen? Who remembers him? Donnelly has written of him, but who was Donnelly? Who remembers him? I have painted, carved, hewn, scored into this space all that I could draw from him. There will be another to these shores to remember me. I will rise from the ocean like an island without bottom, come together like a stone, become an Ariel, a beacon that they will not forget you. We've always been drawn here. One day the gulls will return and nest in our bones and our history. I will look to my left and see Esther Donnelly flying beside me. I will look to my right and see Paul Jakobsen flying beside me. They will leave white lines carved into the air to reach the mainland, where help will be sent.
And there's a dark figure right here. Yeah, I think it's right there. No. I swear to God, I thought the skin was longer. You could probably. I'm like, was plowing through it. So we're clocked in about 40 minutes. Oh, there's that shadowy figure right there. Bottom left. There's in the candles. Interesting. Oh, I turned into a bird.
Come back.
Esther was his wife. And she died. It's about grief. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to keep it going until I hit something different. I'm going to press a button. There we go. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.